A stillness drifts across the heavens, heavier than any storm. Between mercy and justice lies a silent moment, a breath suspended where decisions ripple across eternity. Few notice it, yet it is there, shaping destinies, unseen yet undeniable. And in that silence, hearts are tested, souls weighed, and choices made that echo far beyond time. The world below moves in its patterns, unaware of the invisible divide that separates the wise from the blind, the faithful from the complacent. Yet above, angels watch, and the scales of justice tilt ever so slightly, reminding the heavens that even in patience, there is purpose. Even the smallest act of kindness, a lifted hand, a whispered prayer, becomes a thread in a vast tapestry whose edges touch eternity. And in that pause, in that silent moment, humanity glimpses the invisible, though few recognize its weight. In the valleys of men, in cities thick with life and dust, the human heart wrestles with choices that seem small but are profound. The mother who forgives her child's betrayal, the leader who hesitates to act against injustice, these are not merely acts of daily life. They are reflections of the unseen forces shaping the spiritual order. Each morning brings with it invisible currents of mercy and justice, unseen but guiding all things. Every gesture carries weight. Every whispered prayer nudges destiny. And for those who have eyes to see, every moment offers a choice: to linger in comfort, or to rise into the discomfort of truth. Because mercy and justice do not coexist effortlessly. They hover in tension, a sacred pause demanding discernment. Consider a shepherd tending his flock in the hills of Judah. Each decision, whether to let the flock graze freely or to confine them from danger, mirrors the greater decisions of life. To act too quickly can bring harm. To delay too long can invite destruction. And in that delicate balance, there lies a reflection of God's own care, measured, patient, and infinitely wise. And maybe that is our own hidden battle. Across history, this silent divide has tested even the greatest. Kings feared the day their mercy might betray justice, and prophets trembled at the mercy withheld by the people. Each moment of hesitation, each whispered excuse, each ignored warning, they become threads in the tapestry of consequences. Consider the tale of the prophet Nathan, who approached King David. Nathan's words were not loud, yet they carried the weight of eternity. In the silence between accusation and realization, David's heart faced its test. Mercy could have shielded him from shame. Justice demanded acknowledgement. The silent pause held the power to define not only a king but a nation. In another land, a city poised on the brink of ruin was spared by unseen hands. Its people continued in their ways, blind to the mercy extended, unaware that justice had already circled them like a vigilant sentinel. And when the scales finally tipped, the shock was not in the punishment, but in the recognition that the silent moment had passed, and with it the chance for redemption. Few understand this quiet, divine rhythm. Most see only action, never the pause, the invisible moment where God's mercy waits, patient, and justice listens, deliberate. It is in the silence that faith is tested, hearts are measured, and the trajectory of entire lives is altered. And perhaps, the quietest moment of all carries the loudest truth, that mercy and justice are not enemies, but partners intertwined in a sacred dance. To ignore the pause is to stumble into error. To heed it is to glimpse the mind of God. Then comes the reckoning, subtle yet undeniable. A humble heart repents, a leader steps forward with courage, a stranger shows mercy where vengeance seemed natural. In that instant, the silent moment between mercy and justice is no longer empty. It breathes, it acts, it transforms. Imagine a father forgiving the son who betrayed him, not for ease, but because justice had already weighed the heart. Imagine a ruler sparing a city not for weakness, but because mercy had measured the moment. In these actions, divine truth manifests quietly, yet its effects resound through generations. God's hand is not heavy in punishment but precise in timing. The wise discern, the fool ignores. And in the quiet, invisible to the untrained eye, the heavens exhale a divine judgment, not as wrath, but as equilibrium restored. Even angels marvel at this silent choreography. They witness mercy and justice meeting in the hearts of men. And they understand what few humans ever grasp, that the balance of eternity rests not in grand displays, and in the quiet choices of the faithful. Think of the widow in a small village, quietly giving her last loaf of bread to a stranger. Justice demanded nothing of her, yet mercy chose to act. That single act of courage, unnoticed by the world, resonates in the unseen. Perhaps one day it will save a life, alter a destiny, or even change the course of history. Or consider the repentant thief on the cross beside Christ, who in his final moments embraces mercy over resentment. Justice could have condemned him fully. Mercy chooses differently. The silent moment between judgment and forgiveness defines the eternal. And even the smallest choices carry weight beyond comprehension. Even in our daily lives, we encounter these pauses. A moment to speak or remain silent, to act in love or in fear, to forgive or to condemn. Each choice is a microcosm of the divine balance. And each decision contributes to the silent story of humanity's collective soul. In those who embrace the wisdom of the pause, life unfolds differently. Mercy becomes strength. Justice becomes clarity. They walk paths illuminated by understanding, unshaken by fear, guided by the quiet certainty that even in silence, God's will moves. The foolish stumble not because they are weak, but because they cannot hear the silent whisper. The wise, however, listen to the stillness between each heartbeat, seeing the unseen, responding to the divine balance in every decision. Through prayer, reflection, and attentiveness, we begin to discern the rhythm of mercy and justice. It is not always dramatic. It does not always roar. It often whispers, waiting for hearts willing to respond, to step into alignment with eternity, to act with courage tempered by love. And perhaps, this is the lesson written across every age. The silent moment between mercy and justice is where true discernment lives, where faith is refined, where eternity bends toward righteousness. And in that quiet, sacred pause, we find the echo of God's wisdom, a reminder that sometimes the loudest revelation comes not in action, but in silence, waiting for hearts willing to perceive. The hidden separation is not a divide of punishment, but a space of eternal choice. But mercy and justice meet. But humanity stands at the threshold of destiny.